The next video is for the trumpets. Trumpets are pretty low maintenance. They're really easy to do. But whenever you get to thinking that it's too easy, you might get careless, and then that's when bad things happen. So first thing you do, pop the case open, and you take it out. Now your right hand, there's a pinky hole there. Your right hand grabs there. Your left hand goes right here in the thumb hole dealy. And then you have your whichever finger fits the best. I know some people do with the ring finger, some people go with the pinky. Whichever one fits your hand the best. And that's how you hold it. And then you have a mouthpiece. All you do, you just stick it in the bore there and give it a quarter turn. Now, a lot of times, 5th graders especially, of course I did this all the way up into high school and I should not have done it, but people will do this. And the air rushing through makes kind of a funny sound. The only problem with it is sometimes that mouthpiece will get stuck. Now I barely hit it, so I have an easy time getting it out. But if you do that too much, you just get bored and start jamming it in there, or if you drop it and it gets jammed in there, it might get stuck, and then, you know, I have ways of getting it out, but, you know, that's not a good thing. So if you need to get it out, same way you put it in, you just twist and pull, twist and push, twist and pull. Pretty easy. As far as maintenance goes for the trumpet, everybody will need some valve oil. Now, if you, for whatever reason, get one that says slide oil on it, doesn't matter, it's the same stuff. The way that you use it, one at a time, you find your valves here, you unscrew them, and you can take it out. Now, a lot of times, there you go, you can see, there's a little 1 on it. That's how you know that it goes in the first valve. Now the valves are numbered from closest to the mouth to the furthest from the mouth. So the one over by the mouthpiece, 1, 2, 3. Now to put the oil on the valve, you don't need much. Just a couple drops will do. Just get it to the deal, put a couple drops up at the top, let the oil just run down. Some of it might drip down onto the floor. That's no problem, it won't hurt it. We'll talk about the spit later and you'll understand why it won't hurt it. Now if you look inside of the valve down in there, you might see some grooves down there. When we put the valve back in, we want to try to find those grooves. Now it's kind of hard to find them, so the way that you do, you drop the valve in there. Aha, it happened pretty quick that time. But you just sort of twist it to the right until you hear that click. I don't know if you could hear it or not in the video, but there's a little bit of a click. And that way you know it's in the right place. If you get the valve put in there the wrong way, it seals off some of these holes and then the air won't go through the instrument. So you'll know that the valve is not in right if you stick it up to blow. You ought to be able to hear the air coming out. If you get it off of those and you screw it in the wrong way and you didn't get it into the grooves, well, that's not good. Things like that happen that aren't supposed to. So you want to make sure. I didn't get it sealed all the way off. I thought I could get it to where there would be no air going through, but that didn't work out. Anyway, it makes the air go where it's not supposed to go. And that brings it up. That's why it's important to have one of your fingers in this valve, because as we get older, we're not going to worry about it in 5th grade, but as we get older, this third valve is naturally a little bit out of tune. So whenever you use that third valve, you actually push this out a little bit, and that lengthens the instrument and lowers the sound just a little bit to make it play in better tune than if you didn't use it. So it's the same thing with the second and the third valve. You just want to make sure that you keep them straight. You don't want to get them in the wrong place.
Mr. Trimble?
Yes.
Could you show us on a different valve how to do the oil? Because I don't think the camera could really see it. Your hand was in the way.
Oh, okay, sure. We'll go ahead and do the second valve this time. So the same thing there. You take your oil. I'll try to keep my hand out of the way this time. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
So you just let a couple drops drip down on the top.
So we're not putting it inside where that spring is?
No, we're not putting it inside there. That should be fine like it is. The part that's moving is here. Think of it kind of like a piston inside of a car engine. You want that to be able to move pretty easily. This spring, what that's for, is for making the valve pop back up. So if you push down, that spring gets compressed. Then when you let go, the spring pops the valve back up. So then you turn it. There you go. So you turn it around. And then that click means that it should be in the right place. Now you don't want to over tighten these. It's not going to hurt anything if they're a little bit loose on there. And even while you're playing, sometimes it's a good idea to just do a little bit of a turn on there, because if you don't move them long enough, these threads will get kind of corroded a little bit, and it might get locked up on you to where it's hard to get that unscrewed.
How often do I use valve oil?
Valve oil, you shouldn't really have to put it on more than maybe once a week. If you notice that it's a little bit harder, the valve should move pretty freely. If you notice that one of them is quite a bit slower than it was before, I'm noticing now that this third valve is feeling a little bit sticky. As you get used to it, you'll recognize when a valve is getting in need of oil, like when you need to put some oil on it. But really, if you get a bottle of valve oil that's about this size, it ought to last you 2 or 3 years at least. Or I've seen some people, they'll use the same bottle of valve oil all the way through high school. There we go. I'll put that back in there. That one clicked pretty fast. The last thing is the tuning slides. These other slides over here, to pull them out.
That looks kind of like a trombone.
It kind of does look like a trombone. It's the same idea, it's just that you don't move this one nearly as often. Now this one is a little bit dry. If we were going to oil this, you do not put the valve oil on there. So this stuff, no, not for that. You can use a little bit of Vaseline, will work fine. There's also some specialized stuff we can use, but Vaseline will work fine. It's the same basic stuff. After we're done with the video, I'm going to put some Vaseline on this one. You just put a little bit on there, and then that should be good. Because if you notice that you're having to push really hard, you should probably put a little bit of Vaseline on there. Same thing with these tuning slides. You don't want there to be too much resistance, but you don't want there to be too little either. There is a spit valve. As you're playing, it's impossible for there not to be spit gather up in there. If you notice that it's making a there's a little popping noise that it makes. If you notice it making that noise, you probably need to empty your spit valve. Now, you can just put that onto the floor. You don't need to go up to the trash can to dump it in there. Just dump it on the floor. Everybody does it. We all do it. Just don't eat anything off the floor afterwards. So you just burp, and the spit will fall out, and then you can keep playing.
That's really gross, Mr. Trimble.
It's pretty gross, but it would take a lot of time if we had to stop and go to the trash can every time we were going to dump our spit.
Couldn't we just all have a Kleenex that we dump our spit into?
No, I don't think that would work. We'd go through too many Kleenexes.
It's really gross.
Yeah. So then when you're ready to put it up, mouthpiece goes in the case, and this one You'll also want to polish cloth. Use a polishing cloth, that's what I meant. Find the places where your hand touched. And then you very carefully lay it back down in there. And then you shut it again. There you go, that's the trumpet.